Going on, everybody? Welcome back to Ride the Six Motorcycle channel. If you're new to the channel, you may or may not know that we're doing an R6 front end conversion on an FZ6R. So yeah, we're just going to continue with that, guys. Last video I got the FZ6R brake setup all completed. I have gone through and I've bled the front brake lines, so we actually have some good pressure in the front brake lever now, and we're going to work on getting the bike back together now. I have found a way to kind of, I guess, jerry-rig the existing FZ6R ignition. It's not exactly what I want, but for now, just to get the bike running, get it kind of on the road and start testing the forks, it's going to be good enough. So at this point, guys, we are going to start putting this bike back together. Ignition, airbox, fuel tank, and yeah, we're going to get it started up. It hasn't been started in probably over a year, so let's get right to it, guys. Stay tuned. So first things first, guys, we'll start here with the ignition. With the way, I guess, the R6 top tree and stuff is designed, if I try to put the FZ6R ignition in the same bolts in the tree, it actually hits the frame. So I have found a way to get this to actually not actually hit the frame. You can see right now I can turn the bars now, and we have full motion here in the front. So basically, what I've done is I bolted in one side of the ignition right here. So this bolt is in, and if you can see down in there, you can see my finger under there. That's the other bolt. That bolt is not in, so that ignition is just kind of freely floating there on one bolt. But for now, guys, I'm kind of run out of time this summer here. Parts, it's taken longer to come in than expected, and we need to get this thing running. So we're going to do the one bolt trick on the ignition right now on the tree, and we're going to start wiring up our ignition harness. We're going to get all that back together, and we're going to get the airbox in, and then we're going to move on to the fuel tank and everything else. So be right back, guys. Alright, so first things first, you want to do a little bit of cable management on your wires from your ignition here, guys. There is a little strap on this, or a little hole on the side where you can have a tie wrap, and that's how it was, I remember, when I took it off. It just keeps your cables kind of in a tighter spot, because you don't want to be moving this around too much. It's probably going to break off. So I've put a little tie wrap there just to hold it, and my power commander is here. We're just going to move that out of the way for a second. So right here, Yamaha has included a nice little tie wrap kind of strapped to the frame. We're going to route our cables through there. We're going to route our ignition cables back in underneath the airbox here. And we are going to plug our ignition cables in. These can only go in one way. They're keyed. There's one. And here's our 2-pin also from the ignition. Alright, so there we go, guys. Ignition is wired back up. We're going to tidy up all this cabling and stuff here in a minute. For now, you can tuck it all inside this little rubber boot. There we go. It just keeps your connections dry, because after all, you're sucking in air here through your airbox, so keeps all your connections dry. And we're going to tie wrap this stuff up and keep it clean and out of the way. Alright, so all you need here, guys, is just one little tie wrap. We're going to take that whole bundle of cables. We're just going to take a little zip tie there. We're going to keep it fairly nice and clean. And then we'll just cut the end of the tie wrap off here. Alright, so there we go. We've got a nice clean path for the air to come in under the bike. Okay, we're just going to remove this one bolt. I had this here as a placeholder so I wouldn't lose it. This is going to secure your airbox once it's all down on top of your velocity stacks here. I've had the velocity stacks covered up for a year, so there's no dirt or anything in them. It's really clean. Alright, let's get our airbox situated here. So there's 3 hoses on the back of the airbox. Alright, so we got our 3 hoses here attached to our airbox. The next thing is to get it seated down on top of the velocity stacks. Okay, just gently push it down into place. Okay, there we go. And secured. Okay, there we go. Airbox is secured in the front. I can see it sitting nice and clean on the velocity stacks. Let's get our hoses back up. Slide them all up into position on your airbox. Alright, let's move our hoses and hose clamps back into position. Just going to slide them up. There you go. So essentially squeeze, move them into position, and release. Sometimes a little trickier, you have to use both hands. Okay, so there's 2. Let's get this last one over here. It's a little trickier because it's a bit of a different clamp. It's definitely more stubborn. Maybe we'll use a bigger set of pliers here. There we go. Yeah, definitely a lot easier. I had needle nose and I just got rid of those. I just got a bigger set. Okay, so your 3 hoses are on. Your airbox is in. It's seated nice and firm. We have a sensor here that gets plugged into your airbox. Just like that. These are breather hoses for the tank. And this is the fuel line for the tank, and this is the cables for your fuel pump. So, alright, so the next thing, guys, is your fuel tank. Check it out, guys. I have the tank on. My recommendation when you're working with your tank is put this hinge bolt in first, and then kind of prop your tank up with a pair of sneakers or something. I'll shed some light under there. Just kind of gives you a little bit of room to work with. And the main reason is because these cables under the tank are actually fairly short, and you definitely don't want to pull it up too high because you'll rip these connectors off. So you basically have your fuel line, you have your 2, I guess, breather hoses / overflow hoses, and make sure you put the little clips back up on the nipples under the tank. And then you have your 2 connections way down in there, the white and the green connectors for your fuel pump. So with basically all 5 of those things connected, guys, your tank and your bike should be ready to go. So I've still got it propped up. I haven't quite put it down into the proper position just yet. And I do advise getting a second pair of hands maybe when you work with a fuel tank, especially with a full tank like this one. This still has gas in it from a year ago. I don't expect there to be any problem with the gas. So we're going to just kind of put the tank back in place, bolt it down, and we're going to fire it up. Okay, let's get these 2 bolts in here. Just secure the tank. You don't really need to do this at this point, guys, but I don't plan on opening this tank up for a little while now. The stuff that I was going to put on the front end for the R6 brakes and the stuff I was going to put on for the ignition, there's no ETA on those parts coming in anytime soon, so That may not even happen this year. That may happen through the winter. Who knows? But this bike is going to go on the road. We're going to ride it the rest of the season here. We're midway through July, and this bike needs to get some road time. Okay, there we go. Tank is secured. I will tighten the hinge bolt down here as well on the seat area. Okay, good to go. Let me go grab the key, and we're going to fire it up. Alright guys, here we go. Firing it up for the first time in about a year. We are neutral. It's on the rear stand. It's going to be loud. That's the beautiful hindle that you're hearing right now. Alright, so now that we know the bike runs, guys, we're going to make the bike street legal. Essentially, we're going to put the mirrors on it. I'm going to put the signals on it. And I'm going to put my license plate, move it from my parts bike over to the other bike. And yeah, we're going to get her out on the road. Let me see if I got the right mirrors. I think I do. They're just folded up. Don't forget your little rubber grommets here and your two bushings. Apparently I can't find the hole. There we go. The mirror's going to look kind of stupid without the fairings on, guys, but I don't want to put the fairings on just yet, just in case I need to kind of make any final adjustments or anything like that to the forks. So we're just going to run these mirrors down, tighten them up. Doesn't have to be pretty. At least not yet. It will be pretty eventually, but right now we're just going to get it on the road here. So just a 10mm socket to bolt these mirrors in. Just turn them down by hand first, and then we're going to wrench them on. Don't have to over tighten it, just snug them up. They're not going to go anywhere on you. Okay. There we go. First mirror's on. Let's roll to the other side. Best thing I ever could have bought in my garage was one of these little rolling chairs, guys, to be honest. It really helps when you're working on the bikes because they do sit fairly low, and I don't have a motorcycle lift per se, so get yourself a rolling chair if you can, or if you haven't already got one. Okay, same thing, let's line it up. Okay, there we go. Let's get the nuts on. Drive in by hand again just to get them lined up. You need yourself a little socket extension probably to get at the mirrors, guys, so try to have the right tools and stuff handy. It'll make your life a little bit easier. Okay, tighten it down, and there we go. We have FZ6R mirrors again. Alright, let's move on to putting some signals up here. So, what we're going to do, we're going to actually take our flush mount signals So these are the moto dynamic signals. I'm just trying to see which way might be better. There's not really a right or left. Just trying to see which way kind of makes more sense, I guess, looks wise. Okay, so there's one signal. Let's hope this one is the same or different. It's got different color code on the wiring, so we should be good. Okay, so there we go. We got a couple little signal lights there. I just gotta run the bolts down. I'm gonna clip the signals in. I'm just gonna put these in with an 8mm, just an 8mm socket. There we go. Snug it up. Just fix the little rubber gasket around it. Doesn't matter if it comes off or not anyways. And so here's our wiring harness. Again, this is all plug and play stuff, guys. So we're going to plug it in. Okay, there we go. And let's tighten up the other one. Okay, there we go. Again, standard harness, plug and play. Alright, there we go. We'll turn the ignition on. They should both light up because they are the side markers for the bike. And let's go left. Okay, we got a signal. And let's go right. We got a signal. Okay, good. So mirrors wise, signals wise, this bike is road legal. I'm just going to switch the plate over and yeah, we'll get that done. I'm not going to show you the plate obviously, guys. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't, liked and subscribe. And well, next video, we're going to do a little road test on this FZ6R/R6 conversion. And we're going to get a feel for the front end. See if there's anything wrong. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's all together right and there's nothing wrong with the forks. Hey, we should be good, hopefully. Okay guys, ride safe. See you in the next video.